U.S. authorities have charged 2 employees of a Russian state media outlet in connection with an alleged attempt to spread disinformation ahead of the November election.
Attorney General Merrick Garland says the charges are part of a sweeping effort to disrupt the threat of election interference by Russia and other foreign adversaries. Global Affairs Correspondent Maya Rodriguez has more from Washington.
The U.S. Department of Justice is making several moves to try and counter Russian disinformation efforts here in America. They refer to that Russian disinformation effort as doppelganger because it sought to create fake internet addresses of legitimate news websites, among other things. At its core, the U.S. is accusing the Kremlin of using Russian state-run TV channels and online platforms to amplify disinformation in the hopes of influencing American voters. The Justice Department said it seized internet domains and indicted individuals accused of illegally operating in the U.S. on behalf of the Russian government. The announcement of all this came as part of the meeting of the Elections Threat Task Force. One of those the task force is targeting is RT. That's Russia Today, the Russian state-run television channel, which for years could be easily found on U.S. cable systems. Back in 2017, the Justice Department forced RT America to register as a foreign agent because it said the channel helped Russia meddle in the 2016 election. Eventually, the channel closed here in the U.S. in 2022. However, according to the Justice Department, Russia continued to use RT through a series of social media accounts to spread disinformation. The Department of Justice announced it charged 2 RT employees in the U.S. with, among other things, a $10 million scheme to spread disinformation. In addition, U.S. officials say they seized 32 internet domains that Russia had been using as part of a, quote, covert campaign to interfere in and influence the outcome of U.S. elections. Here's what Attorney General Merrick Garland had to say about how the alleged disinformation scheme worked.
To implement this scheme, the defendants directed the company to contract with U.S.-based social media influencers to share this content on their platforms. The subject matter and content of many of the videos published by the company were often consistent with Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core Russian interests, particularly its ongoing war in Ukraine. The company never disclosed to the influencers or to their millions of followers its ties to RT and the Russian government.
Russia is not the only country using disinformation to try and influence upcoming U.S. elections. U.S. officials say they are well aware that China has also operated in this space. And in June, Iranian-backed hackers breached the Trump campaign and attempted to hack what was then the Biden-Harris campaign. As for the voting process itself, U.S. officials have sought to reassure voters that the American election system is safe. Just this week, Jen Easterly, the director of the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, said that the election infrastructure was secure. She also added that 97% of all registered voters in the U.S. will be casting their ballot in a jurisdiction that will have a verified paper record. Maya Rodriguez, Scripps News, Washington.